I know a lot of business owners that in the middle of the night wake up, what's happened with that thing, with that problem? Yes, because your brain doesn't, no, it's not from 9 to 5, no.
Our featured speaker today is co-founder and new business director, MTI, a specialist in being certified in social selling with over 15 years of experience. Her passion for multiculturalism and passion to empower others have led her to teach digital marketing at ORT Uruguay and become a sought-after speaker for conferences throughout Latin America. Ximena, it's a great pleasure to have you returning as our featured guest today. Thank you so much for sharing this chapter of your journey with us.
Good morning, and thanks, Nancy and team, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you again.
The pleasure is definitely all ours. I know that it's been probably about a year and a half since our last interview. Can you tell us, how things are going? Maybe about some of the developments in your work and life since we last spoke.
Well, a lot of things have changed here because my company works for IT companies, from startups to partners of cloud, ERP, e-commerce, the hardware, to partners of IT brands. This year, with the explosion of the artificial intelligence, or a lot of change in, we were talking about the political change in United States, but in Latin America too. The IT industry have been affected a lot. Some clients used to work even close their companies. Other company build new service, but in these years I think that I have maybe like 5 years instead of 1 year and a half. Yeah, I feel that. In personal terms, my son is a child, is not a baby. It's almost 3 years, 2 years and a half. So for me, have been a very interesting and learning process outside and inside of my personal life. And how and I've been, I can compare how the develop of a person or a country, how it's similar in some aspects with the companies. Over there now a lot about that.
Yeah, there's so many founders we've spoken to have talked about how there's the similarities between the feeling of like the company is their baby, right? There is so many similarities there.
Yeah, because for the founders, this is a good analogy. I still write a book. I am finishing that, and I talk about that when you start a company, when you have a baby, that if you are parents, the first months, the first year is your life is crazy. You don't sleep. No, it's sleep as a baby. That phrase that told a man that would never had a baby in their house. No, and it's very demanding. The first year of the company is very, very demanding. But no, it's not always like that. When your child is more grown, you enjoy that the same in the company. Depend less than you. But the effort that you do in the first years is key. It impacts a lot. The first 3 years as the parents impacts a lot in the life of their sons and daughters. The first 3 years, much more than when they have 20. For the company, it's the same. You build values, you build habits, you build way of relationship. That I work with companies that have 30 years in the market, and they have a lot of problem because they don't build a good culture at the beginning. As the person, no? The people, it's the same.
Definitely. Thank you. And congratulations on recently celebrating MTI's 13-year anniversary. If you were to narrow the sort of formula for your success into whatever you think are the key points, what would you tell us about? What would sort of hit that list for you?
Success is a word that I think we are success according to our definition of success. If you say success for a big company that bills a lot. No, we are not successful. I barely survived the 2024. Now we are growing more, but we are more focused in the specific companies and we are more consultant service. In terms of success, I define the success in different terms. Like for me, it's free time to be present for my child, to have time for my family and friends, and have the flexibility. And of course, I have an income and earn money, but it's not the most important now for me to earn a lot of money. For me, it's more important now in my life. And my partner, she has a baby too, a child too. So we are very aligned in that sense. And we hire people that they are in the same mood. We are happy, yes, because we prefer to do the flexibility and to live in a different city. I am living. My partner is living in New York. I am living in Montevideo, and a lot of people in MIT are living in small cities with their families. So I think that the key of success is you have to write what is success for you and for your partner, and communicate that for the company, maybe for your employees. It's not the same. So when you communicate that in the interviews, that our culture is that, we value that, we prefer that. I talk with the new people that is entering in MIT about that, about our story, about what we expect to the future, and we value the a good mood, sure that we like the free time. So I expect that for you. If you don't like that, don't enter. I think that this is the key. What is success for you?
I think that's what we are talking about at the beginning, right? It's such an important question to keep reevaluating throughout your journey, personally and professionally. You touched on something though that I want to go a little bit deeper with. In our last conversation, you were speaking about, cultivating that work culture where employees feel free, and you called it democratic. And, you particularly talked about how important that is for women, especially to have that freedom to be, good mothers as well as good employees. And that sounds like the ideal sort of work environment to me. But I know it's more difficult to actually create and preserve than it is to just talk about. I was wondering if you could take us a little bit deeper into what it actually took to build a work environment like that, and talk about any challenges that's kind of arisen from giving employees that sort of freedom or greater say in the company.
It's very difficult to build a coherent environment. I think that the most difficult thing for a company is you have to be coherent. The coherence between that you think, you talk, and you do. If you are current, people respect that. And if you are democratic or open or not, maybe you are more rigid, more vertical. I respect everything. The thing is, you have to be coherent and communicate that and do it that instead of don't cheat the people and don't cheat yourself, because people don't like the specific environment. People don't like that they feel cheated. You tell me something, but you are doing another thing. I prefer and I recommend for founders of startup or small companies that it's a business for you to be democratic. Why? Because you don't have so money and you don't have so much time and you don't have so much energy, because you as a founder you have to do a lot of things when you are a founder in the early stage. And even more, we are 13, we have 13 years, we are a small company, 25 people, and even you have to do a lot of things. When you are democratic, people feel with more power and they resolve more problems. And if you trust them and you let them do things with a lot of instructions and course and a lot of thing coaching, but the company work with us you. it is very difficult for a small company that the company can work without you. If you are ill or if you have a baby like me that you have to took some months off, what happened? If everything depends of you or people just are used that you decide everything, the company will not work without you. It's like coming to the example of your child. If you raise them with independence, with they are responsible of their own decisions. Even if you're not, your child have more tools to write their life, no, to lead with his life. If you let that, you have more health, you have more time, you sleep better. I know a lot of business owners that in the middle of the night wake up, what's happened with that thing, with that problem? Yes, because your brain doesn't, no, it's not from 9 to 5, no. No. So you have to keep that. For me, my family is very important, so I don't want to end in a divorce for my problem, my company. That I know a lot of founders that end on that. I learned from my clients that my clients used to be like between 40 and 60 now. So I talk with a lot of people that have 60 or 50, and I learned a lot of things of them that I don't want in my life. Just to keep the control, and what's the gain for that?
How do you prepare your company to operate when you know, need to take those other higher priorities?
I prepare with, I know, I imagine that you know agile methodologies. It's a good system or for introduce that system in your whole company, not only in the IT areas, with a weekly, with different topics. We have a lot of meetings, but for example, the manager, we have a meeting with sales and the project area. We met once a week and we report each other and we try to solve problems and share documents. It's important to have some meetings, regular meetings, and each meeting has different topics to solve. Always focusing in solve problems and to keep clients. And that is the democratic things in the meetings. Everybody has the same voice. Your opinion, how do you say? We try to reach another case or another client similar how we solved before. It has to be democratic or to work remote as we do. You have to be a lot. We have to build a lot of structure and with discipline. A lot of structure. It's not like start the week and I'm going to see what they're going to do. No, no, this is a mess. We are not to gain anything with that. No, we have meetings. I just like five regular meetings with different teams and with different topics. And it's important that everybody understand that and respect that and prepare. It's not a show the meeting, hi, what is for you? No, no, we prepare before that.
Great, thank you. Last time we spoke, another thing you mentioned was the advantages of being a small size business, but also shared that you could see MTI being part of something bigger. What would you say is sort of your current vision of the next 5-10 years from now?
When I was young, I have much more expectation than now. I think that I think of when you have almost 40, you are more settled down with the expectation. For me, it's okay if we are like now, or we are part of a group of IT companies that we work with different companies, helping them to grow and to export service in another countries. Or maybe I don't have a very specific vision, but for me it's okay if we keep like that with more free time or more income, of course, more client with less problem. I would like that, or no, how that is very specific for only for the IT companies, be part of something bigger or some with more companies, with more people. This is the vision of my company. For myself, I would like to retire of the operation. I don't like to be like a manager, like the boss. No, no, I like to talk with clients and to solve problems, to be in the street. This is my vision. Or maybe to be like create. I really like to create something like create a product, IT product for marketing for IT companies. This is very interesting. We have more technology now in our process, in our service.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, in 13 years, you've greatly evolved, right? Going back to what you said you'd like your role to be, and I love that you're picturing that as part of the future of the company. What do you see as, at this point in your journey, and maybe talk about if this has changed for you? But what do you see as the most important role of a founder or a founding team in your industry? Do you think that founder needs to be good at selling for their company to thrive or good at connection?
It's very interesting to talk with founder because we have a lot of pain in our bodies. We are very curious people. We have to solve a lot of things and deal with a lot of people that you have to talk with them. I really like to meet founders and make friends with founders because we have very deep conversations and different point of view. The founders, I see that we have features or some characteristics that define us that I don't know if you know the book of Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point. He talks about the innate sellers, mavens, and connectors. That they are the people who move and create trends in the world. Most of the founders that I know I have met in these years have that characteristic. Sellers, native sellers, mavens, that is a people very expert in specific area, or connector, that is people who are the ability to talk or to connect relationship with more people than the media. We have that ability. I think that the founder is not the right person to manage a company in the long term, like a general manager. I think that it has to be like a visible face of the company. Now, in this era, we demand transparency. We don't like the company who we don't know who are the people. No, we want to see face. If you see the big IT brands, no, the CEOs are much more visible than some maybe 20 or 30 years ago. So I think that the founder has to be like a opinion leader, a voice of the company. I have to talk with clients, has to record a podcast, make capsules, make webinars, talk events, and even go to some meetings with new clients and existing clients because the clients trust much more in the founder than in the company actually. Depend of the company. It's a young company, less than 15 years. If the clients trust more in the people who are in the company because it's a very young company. But if it is Microsoft or IBM, no, you trust in the company because it's a big and they have a lot of years in the market and the people change and the company it's very structured. But in the young companies, no. I told you that a story that when we have 5 years in the market, we change the logo and the colors and the names, and our clients didn't notice that. He was very stressed about that because we are a very young company and the clients trust in Andrea and Ximena, not in MIT.
Right now, it feels like AI is such a hot topic to discuss. Is it having a big impact on your industry? Because you've just talked about sort of trust, developing that trust with your clients. Do you envision that as sort of automation increases, there'll be some sort of difficulties either separating yourself from the market or maintaining or developing that trust? How do you think you juggle those two?
Well, I think it's a difficult time for IT industry because when in the market we are even more in Latin America, I think, exists an illusion of that the AI and technologies um, can do a lot of things, a lot of process, or a lot of service that before companies do, or maybe humans do. I remember last year that we talked with IT companies, and they said, no, now we have a ChatGPT, linked helper, a tool of automate the process of prospecting and generated leads. And now this year, I don't know how to manage that tools. I don't have results because the idea is not to automate the process, is to create pipeline and sell. This is the main objective. So I'm not achieving that. In that case, it happens with a lot of process or a lot of things. You have to, instead to create a relationship of build, you have to ask very deep in the main problem or the owner or the company, and deep down even more. This is for learning for us. Create much more questions in order to prepare a proposal. Much more. It's a very long questionnaire. But that we have much more data that we create a service much more personalized and much more fit for that company that is not useful for that another company. This is with a vision of a consultancy, of you if you offer a service. If you are a startup of SaaS, no, you have to standardize. But I think what it be your service or your company, you have to talk to your client with confidence, not offer something and I don't know if it's useful for you or not. I think that it's useful for you. Have a good conversation with your client, maybe in a coffee or lunch or maybe on a call, but in order to learn. And if you are a founder, for me, was learning that I have to go to the meetings of my team of projects. I have to go in order to learn because they discuss a lot of problems. We have to change the service of the product in order to adapt to them. Because if you solve problems to an owner, to a company, they always going to buy you. The companies always have problems. And the problem that we solve, that sales, pipeline, everybody has the kind of problem. So the mindset is not to sell your product cheaper. No, it's to gain information, try to collect information of their problems to solve. And then design your product or your service to solve the problem.
I really appreciate how you're highlighting the importance of being able to evolve your product too in real time to suit your clients. Because I do think that we can kind of like fall in love with the product and be like, why is no one buying? They were buying 5 years ago. I think that really speaks to the longevity of MTI's success. Thanks for taking us through your process. Hi there. If you're enjoying this podcast, would you mind leaving us a review, a like, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform? Thanks so much. That really helps our reach. The Founders Voyage podcast is now proudly sponsored by VidOps. Kane at VidOps has been taking care of our editing since early 2024. He works efficiently, and I'm sure you'll agree that he does a great job. Thank you to VidOps for helping bring this podcast to life. If you want the same great support we're getting for your podcast, or you need help with video, photography, or animation, you can get 10% off at vidops.io using our referral code Voyage. That's vidops.io, referral code Voyage. Now back to the show. So I understand that there's, I don't know what company, but a company in Central America had hired you as a conference speaker to talk in, I think, 8 countries about your methodology. So congratulations on that. Can you talk about how that opportunity came about and kind of what it means to you? What sort of advice do you hope to impart?
Well, that's very interesting because when I talked with you, I told that I would like to be a writer and a conferencist. And then last year, I met a company with a client that introduced me to a company that they do events with conference and pay for conferences, and they hired me. Okay, so I'm doing that. I'm thinking to, of course, to have a vision of your path, but you have to build that and you have to work a lot with discipline. It's like a footballer team is, oh yeah, everybody wants to gain the World Cup. Yeah, to win the World Cup, of course, but it's not only for wishing that. It's not only that. You have to work a lot, and the professional, even Messi and Suarez, and they play football every day. As a footballer, you have to always how to do better, how to the experience of my client, the successful one, the failure one, how to create something new and document that. And this is a very good habit for the small companies that even we create and we know a lot of knowledge, keeping there, not writing. But if you have the discipline to write, to create models, to reshape something, and I have a conference with a lot of good content based on my experience with my clients, with a lot of humor, with a lot of analysis with sports, with the football the sport that we are more familiar in Uruguay. People play football. My father, since I was a child, always with the team with a football player, a football match of Uruguay or something else. It's interesting how to that occur for that happen for you with your client. This knowledge, if you compare with reality of common people, it has to be, I choose the sport, the football, and the relationship between be a parent raise a child. When you do that, common people understand you, and the message it's more touching.
It's important to package your message in sort of a way that resonates with the audience. That's really, really smart.
Yeah, but this is the final stage. The main thing is always to write that and create models and reshape and take write that. That is very difficult for a, a small business. But if you have that habit, you are going to create very good things, not only in the conference.
Absolutely. Now, you guys are, and we talked about this a little bit earlier already, you sort of have an international business, right? Like you have people sort of who are based internationally working with you. And in the UK and the US, there's this big push to like return to the office post COVID. What's your perspective on this? Like, how do you manage that sort of remote operations?
I understand the owners and the leaders that they think that going back to the office because the communication when you are with other people face to face is very different. Of course, the creativity, the products, I understand that. It's not the same. The communication in remote it's poorer than it's more poor than the face to face, of course. But things that I think that not everybody is Apple or Elon Musk or the most small business are doing normal service that that maybe yes, but no, we are not to create that now. That kind of cutting edge technology. I prefer to work remote because my people feels good. And I am very conscious that we are not creating cutting edge technology. If not, I could do that. We do a service for IT clients, and my clients are good with us. And okay, everyone is good. And we are a small company. I don't know if that works for a big size company. I don't know. For me, it's more intelligent that if you an hybrid system, maybe once a week or twice a week, because if you have 5 a week in the office, I think that is improductive too. Because people take a coffee are boring, are just talking with their husband and their friend in the office, and you can control that. And the effort to a small business to control people, you have to use that effort in selling, create relationship with your clients. This is the thing for that. For me, it's a luxury that a company has a system to control people, because if you go to the office, you have a lot of things to control people. So for a small business, I think that the effort is more valuable in another thing, in selling maybe, or going to events. So I try to join my people at least once a year. The ideal thing is that once a week, of course. I think that the hybrid system, you have maybe you have a balance between the company interest and the people interest. If you see or you contemplate the people interest, people feel better and retribute you too. I don't know who is the right answer, but I think that the balance, the interest of company and the interest of people, you have to consider both.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, that it is much more about controlling people, and you've emphasized so much in this conversation how important it is to build trust in your team and trust with your clients. And giving people the flexibility to work remotely is, part of that trust. And I agree with you, finding that balance is key, because nothing can really replace being in the same room with a person. But also, as you've indicated, like, that employee happiness translates to your client's happiness. So yeah, thank you. So many good points in there. If it's okay with you, I'd like to pass to Giovanni, who has a question for you.
Hi, Ximena. Thanks a lot for the insights. I will have a quick question. Do you have any program or something like that that impactful you and your company in the process of growing? You mentioned before the tipping point, so I was referring on an example like that. Thanks a lot.
Do you refer, thanks, Giovanni, do you refer the program like a book, a content, a technology? Or?
Yes, anything that added value to your company.
I really like to read. It's the most that it's the instant that I wrote. I wrote more than even watching videos. Or I really like a book that Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. I learned a lot of negotiation, or how to deal with a hard relationship. This is one, but because he used to deal with the narcotraficantes and people who steal or snatch people. And they are FBI agents. How to negotiate in very hard, difficult times. And this is very nice for founders. The other is traction of Gino Wickman, how to structure and communicate, how to create instance of communication in your company, and how to create KPIs. This is very good. And the other ones, I really like the Malcolm Gladwell too. I really like that methodologic book, but I really like the others that they are stories, maybe stories of a countries or people who I have more insights to apply to my company. It's more freedom, no? I really like that. The history books that I have read that help me to understand what happened in Latin America, in the world, is ¿por qué the failures of the countries, ¿por qué fracasan los países? And the failure of the countries. That is, and the other one is the armas, gérmenes y acero. No sé cómo se dice en inglés. Y acero. The Jared Diamond, like weapons, virus, and acero. But it's very classic book, a Pulitzer Prize. that how that two books that helped me to understand the human in humanity and how to evolve that, and why some countries are very undeveloped and the other are much more stable or developed, or how human being that everything from the beginning we are always are fighting, how we deal with that, but with the relationship in my company.
It's brilliant to have these sort of stored advice from people that can really help you to improve your own journey. One thing I'd love to ask you about in regards to sort of the advice you would give to others, right? So if you think about what advice you give during, say, your first year as an entrepreneur versus now, how has that advice changed as you've gained more experience and knowledge?
Well, actually, some weeks ago, I had a meeting with a 23-year-old that this is the student, and it was like a talk with myself, with my young myself. The main advice was don't focus on what's to do now, because you're young. Nobody trusts on you, of course, and you accept that the young people don't have money. No, you create money with experience and with solving problems, and people trust on you and pay money. if you if you see in the world the people who have money or who is successful is elder than 30. You know. This is the startup of the 20 years young people who build something that is one in the whole world, five in the whole world. It's not a common it's a thing. So just to enjoy the path and focus on learning. When you are so young, you don't need so much money. You have to learn, go to events, and meet people, because when you have 40, if you are very disciplined, if you have discipline in doing things, when you have 40, you have a lot of books or videos, or you have a lot of content and learning in your life, and you have meet a lot of people that maybe you have tools for open doors now, because you met a lot of people when you have 20. And if you can talk, go to events with people, do something, even don't focus on the money, focus on the learning, in the path that you are building a path. And if you can travel, because when you have child, it's much more difficult. Because I traveled a lot when I was younger. I went to 7 months to Mexico, 9 months to Colombia. I used to live in Chile. I lived 1 year in Argentina. And the vision and the learning that I have, and when I see it, I say, "Wow, it's a pleasure. I learned much more than if I would stay here in Montevideo, because moving. So you are building a path. It's probably now. It's probably that you have to start a business in some point of your view, because it's very difficult now to keep an employee and being an employee your whole life, because it's very unstable, the market. There are a lot of things that are happening. And I think that once in your life, at least you are going to build a business. So if you build a business, you are in the need of that. Well, you have contacts, you have a lot of things that you have learned, you have more tools, that if you always keep in the same place doing the same thing. And so focus on that, and a very that the path is a complicated ocean, very turbulent ocean, and you have to survive in that. And so the idea is you have the tools to survive in that travel.
Thank you so much. I was thinking as you were talking in the beginning of this conversation, I think, before we officially started recording, I was telling you I really like asking people how they define success for themselves. And I don't think we've asked you that yet. So I would like to ask you, how do you define success for yourself personally and professionally? Has that changed over the course of your career?
Well, nice question. I think that question we have redefining the success in order to feel to be happy. That and everybody wants to be happy. The thing, the key of the humanity. I think defining success is not the same when you have 10 or when you are in your 20s or when you are in your 40s. I think it's not the same thing when you are in your 60s. I think that maybe each 5 years or each 10 years, it's a good moment to write and define what is success for you, what makes you happy. For me, it was evolving when I was younger. When I started the company, for me, the definition of success was to know more countries, know more people, travel a lot. Yes, earn money, but earn money for have a good life, not to be rich. And now, for me, it's much more important to meet know more people of different countries. Just to give my energy, invest my energy with specific people that for me is interesting, not with everybody. I don't want to travel a lot. I prefer when in my 20s. I just decide, okay, I'm going to that conference in Central America that is very long, 12 hours by travel, by plane with a scale in Panama. And also a stopover in Panama. It's very tiring, but okay, I'm working with that. They pay me. In my 20s, I would do for free, of course. For me, it's more time. Before was more things, countries, people, companies, do more things, and more active. Now, no, it's more time, and more help too. And doing things with your company in order to earn money for have more time.
Absolutely. I think it's so interesting how our sort of what we're interested in sort of changes over time as we have more experience and more knowledge. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I think you may recall we do like to end on a particular question, and unfortunately for us, we are at the end of the hour. It has been a pleasure talking with you, as always. Our ending question is asking you what words of wisdom or piece of advice do you want to leave us with today?
Build yourself as a person. I know that you have to deal with a lot of problems with people, with clients, with the cash machine, with I know how to pay salaries, I don't know how clients, that you have a lot of like malabares in Spanish. If you have more tools as a person, if you have more knowledge, if you have more confidence, if you have more peace in your mind, if you are more happy with your personal life, with your family or your friends, you are going to be a better leader. You are going to transmit a good energy. This impacts a lot in the company. And the people accept you and want to work with you or reject you or escape from you. If you are good, in peace with you, the business is going to be better. And I recommend you that you have time and design your schedule in order to be that you be good doing sport, a bit of sport at least, in order to oxygen and to feel better, to share with some friends or family. Not don't keep with the screen. I think the screen is taking a lot of time. No, mark in your schedule some block of time that is important for you. Sport, good alimentation, food, relationship, things that you like, and keep a balance between your life, your health, and your work, and then do the other things, the work and the television or that, because that are the pillars that you are going to be strong and happy, and you have the tools for navigate in that stormy ocean, and you are the captain. You have to be good. You have to be in good shape. Yes, we are the captain navigating in
The pleasure is all ours, seriously. And I love the multifaceted answer you gave to building yourself as a person. I definitely agree with you that it's important to make time for growing all of those different facets of yourself, and it makes you stronger, at your business as well. And knowing that you believe that, I think it's obvious to me why you've been so successful. Thank you so much, Ximena, for taking so much time with us today, for coming back as a guest. We really appreciate you, sharing your new insights from this past year and a half, and just, giving more of yourself to us. We really appreciate your time. And thank you, everyone who joined us today. We appreciate you bringing your perspective and energy to the discussion. Spencer and I and the team behind Founders Voyage feel really fortunate to be part of this community with you, and for the opportunity to bring you cooperative learning experiences like this one each week. And thank you so much, Ximena, for nominating such amazing women that we've had on the podcast as well. And to our audience, we would love to hear your nominations for future session guests. And if you like, you can listen to our previous interview with Ximena and the rest of our edited podcast under Founders Voyage on your favorite podcast platform, or directly on our website, foundersvoyage.org. So thank you so much again for taking so much time with us, and we hope that you have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever any of our listeners are ahead.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You've just finished another episode of Founders Voyage, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. The team at Founders Voyage wants to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and if so, please share this with someone else who might enjoy this podcast. You can also support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and by donating to our Patreon. Outro music today is Something for Nothing by Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band.